We are now in lesson number 2 of module number 7. Determine between what two consecutive integers the square root of a number lie. So in the previous lesson, you have learned how to describe principal root if it is rational or irrational number. Now let us review about perfect square integer. So when we speak of perfect square integers, these are one number multiplied by itself, resulting to a number. That number is called a perfect square. So to learn more of that, let us answer activity A. Okay, number 1 was already done for you. So we have here exponential form, the expanded form, and the perfect square integer. So last topic, we had 1 times 1, 1 times 2, 2 times 2, 3 times 3, 4 times 4, so on and so forth. And we did answer that one, right? So when you speak of 2 times 2, that is equal to 4. Then 3 times 3, that is equal to 9. For 4 times 4, you have 16, so on and so forth. Now, this expanded form, okay, has another form called an exponential form. You notice that there are a little number 2 at the top or at the upper right corner of the number. So, this number 2 is called an exponent. That is called an exponent. 2 because the number 1 is repeated twice. Okay, that's why you have 2. The next example, you have 2 with an exponent of 2 because this number 2 is repeated twice. So we still have this exponent of 2. If the number is repeated thrice, say for example 2 times 2 times 2, that will become 2 with an exponent of 3. But now we're going to focus with an exponent of 2. Okay? Okay. So to read this one with an exponent of 2, that is read as, let's erase this one, that is read as 2 squared. I'm sorry. This is read as 1 squared because we have the number 1, then this 2 is well squared. The same here, you can read this one as 2 squared. So on and so forth, you have 3 squared, 4 squared, and 5 squared. So this number, this exponential form, is the same as its expanded form. So when you speak of 5 squared, it is the same as 5 times 5, which is equal to 25. 6 squared is the same as 6 times 6, which is equal to 36. So if you get the point, you can answer up until 15 squared. So you will answer the remaining items. Now try to remember them up to 15. Or you have to familiarize yourself with it. Let's proceed to the next one. Okay, let's answer this. Give what is asked. Can you take the exact value of square root of 12? Okay, so to take the exact value of square root of 12, we have to open our scientific calculator. Okay, let's open that one. Scientific calculator. So I downloaded this one from Google Play. It says that I have to take the square root of 12. So I'm going to find the symbol for square root, which is here. Sorry, square root. Then write 12. So equals, so I have in there 3.4264101611514. That's some exact value, but it's not really the exact. Okay, just whatever the calculator's answer. So let's copy this one. So copy. Let's go back here. Then let's paste our, okay, so it's there. Let's just delete some of the text. Okay, so we have in there 3.46 40.10161.514. That's the value of square root of 12. But in actual terms, or the actual answer of square root of 12 involves series of numbers after the decimal point. Okay, so we know that the square root of 12 is an irrational number. Okay, is square root of 12 an irrational number? Since we just proved here, we took the value of square root of 12, then therefore our answer here is yes. Now, number 3, list two perfect square integers nearest to 12. Okay, so we're going to find for perfect square nearest to 12. So what are those two numbers? Let's go back to our previous page. Okay, so that is why it is important for you to memorize or familiarize yourselves with the perfect square. Now, given here our perfect square, on what perfect square can we see the number 12? Or where is 12 located between 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36? So as we can see here, 12 can be seen between 9 and 16. How can I say so? Of course, you can count. You have 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Okay, so we have two perfect squares. One we have 9, then the other is 16. And our given, let's put comma so that we know the separations. Okay, so our given is 12. So we are asked on what? Again, where can we see that one? We are asked to list two perfect square integers nearest to 12. So as we can see in here, let's have it here. As we can see, 12 is nearest to perfect square number, which is 9 and 16. So our answer here should be 9 and 16. 9 and 16. Okay. Find the square root of two perfect squares in item number 3. Okay, so our task is to find for the square root of these two numbers. So to find for the square root of that square root of 9, we know that square root of 9 and 9 comes from 3 times 3. Therefore, the answer here will become 3. And we know that 16 comes from 4 times 4. Therefore, the square root of two perfect squares in item number 3 is 3 and 16. Now, the question in number 5, between what two positive integers the square root of 12 lie? So, it lies between, okay, so we can answer here using number 4, using this. It lies between 3 and, I'm sorry, that's not 16. We took the square root of 16, which is 4 times 4, or simply, we have 4. I'm sorry for the mistake. So our answer here is 4. So square root of 12 lies between 3 and 4. Okay, that's it. Next, let's proceed to the next page. Excuse me. So what's new? Between every two whole numbers are counted as decimal. Consider the decimal. This decimal. This is not a kind of decimal we use in our daily life. because it's neither 2 nor 3, but it's a number between 2 and 3. Now try to determine between what two whole numbers each of the following decimal lie. Okay, let's answer this one. So where can we see 4.00677? Between what two numbers? Of course, it can be seen between 4 and 5. For number 2, we have 1, 2. Number 3, 0, 1. Number 4, you have 10 and 11. And number 5, you have 100 and 101. So that's how you are going to look two numbers where the decimal or a given number lies in between. Next. Okay, what is it? If a principal root is an irrational number, the easiest way you can do is to determine between what two integers the square root of a number lie. Okay, so here in these examples, we'll take into account irrational numbers, such as these numbers. These are considered to be irrational. And you have to familiarize yourselves with perfect squares. Okay. So first you have in there the square root of 12. Okay. So between what two perfect square? So you count. So 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So square root of 12 lies between 9 and 16, and you have to take the square root of those two numbers to get the perfect square. Thus, square root of 12 lies between 3 and 4. So these are the two consecutive perfect square numbers. We take their square roots, so you have 3 and 14. But remember here, 9 and 16 are what you call your perfect square integers. 3 and 4, the answer in here, are what you call your answer when you take their square roots. Okay. Next, let us have square root of 18. Okay. So 18 is between 16 and 25. Okay. So we take the square root of those two numbers. So we have 4 and 5, and we know that the square root of 18 lies between 4 and 5. Next page. Okay. So that's the whole point. So 40, let's go higher. Of course, 40 is between perfect square 36 and 49. If you take the square root, you will know where the value of 40 lies. So square root of 40 lies between 6 and 7. Let's verify that one. So square root of 36, the answer there is 6. Square root of 49 is 7. So the value lies between 6 and 7. Let's take square root of 40. What will be square root of 40 in our calculator? Square root of 40 is equal to 6.32. Of course, 6.32 is between 6 and 7. Okay. What's more, in this part, the same thing as we did in our previous example, we'll take the perfect squares and we'll take the two past consecutive integers where it lies, just like this example. Okay, so I'll answer number 1 and 2. Okay. For me to answer that one, of course, as I said, you have to familiarize yourselves with the perfect square. So let me have in here a perfect square. So I have in there 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Of course. So the perfect squares, we have 1, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, and 100, of course. Now we're going to find square root of 77. So in this perfect square, I have in here listed, where can we see 77? Of course, 77 can be found between 64 and 81. I'm sorry. So there we can find 77. So it lies between 8 and 9. 8 and 9. That's it. Next we have in here, 87. So we know that 87 can be found between 81 and 100. So there we can find 87. So therefore our answer will become 9 and 10. Okay. Then you will do the rest of the items. Okay. So in here, B, this will measure what you have learned. So you have to answer that one all by yourself. Let's check the next page. Course, what I have learned. Of course, this will become your learner's work. You will answer that one, as well as what I can do. You have to check your weekly home learning plan to know what items you should answer. So that's the end of everything. Thank you, and I hope you learned something.